What is going on, guys? This is your boy Will from Will's Everything Corner, back at it again with a brand new video and a tier list video here today. Obviously, yesterday I did a Twitter poll where I asked all of you what video you wanted to see next on Will's Everything Corner while I take my break from wrestling related content. And you guys really wanted me to rank Star Wars movies. Some people know this, some people don't. Aside from wrestling, Star Wars is also something I am really, really passionate about. I've been a huge Star Wars fan for as long as I can remember. So this kind of video is something I've always wanted to make. It's been a while since I've reviewed the Star Wars movies, but I've seen all of them countless times, so it'll be easy for me to really rank these movies. Um, Sorry for the ads in the background. I had to disable my ad blocker. But as you can see, these are all the Star Wars movies here. I am not ranking the TV shows because, quite frankly, I haven't watched them. At least not a lot of them. So we are going to be ranking these movies in order. Obviously, we got S tier, we got A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier, obviously being the worst. We're going to do this in chronological order in terms of the storyline. So we're going to go from episode 1 all the way to episode 9 and everything like that. Obviously, before I get started, guys, this is based off of my opinion. It will not be the same as yours. So I urge each and every single one of you to leave your rankings down in the comments down below. And if you are new here, be sure to subscribe, turn post notifications on so that we never miss an upload. And also, if you haven't already, go subscribe to my wrestling related channel, Will's Wrestling Corner. With all that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right on to the ranking. Starting off with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, obviously, we all know the history of this movie. This movie used to be universally hated. I think it's grown on a lot of people's hearts. Case in point, myself. I didn't have a whole lot of a problem with this movie. Sure, there were some things that annoyed me, like Jar Jar Binks, like the pod race scene being way, way, way too long. But I didn't have much of a problem with the whole rest of this movie, especially in my most recent viewing. I actually enjoyed myself watching this movie again after not watching it for so long. Obviously, this is where everything began with Anakin, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan also being introduced and everything like that. The lightsaber duel with Darth Maul, one of the best lightsaber duels of all time. Also, if you guys want me to do a tier list on lightsaber duels, let me know in the comments. I'd very much love to do that. Yeah, I can understand also the politics part of it when they were in Coruscant and they had the Senate. Yeah, that was a little bit long and it kind of ruined everything for the movie. Obviously, a lot of people were like, why the fuck is there politics in a Star Wars movie? Yeah, no, but those are minor things for me. Obviously, this is not the worst movie out of all of these. You'll hear me fucking bitch and moan later. In terms of overall ranking, honestly, I'm going to put it on B tier. I think episode 1 was a very enjoyable movie. The lightsaber duel, as always, was amazing. The pod race, while long at times, was pretty entertaining as well and very impressive to look at for 1999. And also the acting of Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, everyone like that. They gave it their all. Even Ian McDermott as well as Chancellor Palpatine. Well, I guess he was a senator in that movie. It was absolutely sick. So we go over to B tier for episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now we go on to episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and this is going to be the one movie that I absolutely fucking despise. I know everyone's movie might be episode 1 in terms of the prequels for the worst, but for me, it's got to be episode 2, man. The love story between Anakin and Padme was one of the most uninspiring love stories I have ever seen in anything related to film, television, comics, books, games, you name it. The dialogue in that movie as well was absolutely cringeworthy, and they spent so much of this movie on it, which I can understand because obviously you're going to want to know how Luke and Leia's parents met and how they fell in love, but George Lucas really needed help in writing the romance aspect of this movie because obviously he is not good at that. The fucking, do I need to talk about the I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Movies seemed a little bit long too. It was kind of hard to get through. The lightsaber duel between Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Count Dooku was not very good as well. Yoda with a lightsaber. I know people really, really love seeing Yoda with a lightsaber. I didn't like it. The only saving graces of this movie, I would say, is the Geonosian arena scene. Anakin murdering the Tusken Raiders. And I guess the bounty hunter chase, but they wasted so much on that. But honestly, every single time I try to have like a Star Wars marathon where I try to watch all the Star Wars movies in like a couple of days sittings, I usually avoid this one. I don't like this one. Jango Fett I thought was a pretty good thing as well. Like the only parts of this movie I'll ever revisit is the Geonosian arena scene and the fight between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett. That's really it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but this is the start of the Clone Wars, man. We didn't focus that much on it besides the last 20 minutes of the movie. Also, I think the love story with Anakin and Padme cannot save this movie. This is easily, and might be a hot take, but I don't know. I see a lot of people say the same thing recently. But this is my least favorite out of all the Star Wars movies. This goes on D tier. Then we go on to Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Holy shit. This is my favorite movie of all time. I'm not talking Star Wars as well. This is my favorite movie of all time, period. I know at the time in 2005, not a lot of people really liked this, but I'm very happy that now in this current generation, more people are showing more love to this movie. This movie was absolutely amazing. The most lightsaber duels out of any of the Star Wars movies. We got the culmination of Darth Vader's story as to how Anakin became Darth Vader. Sure, his motives were a little bit weird with the visions of Padme dying, but obviously that could be manipulated by Palpatine. This isn't a Star Wars theory video. I really liked the choreography for all the fights. Anakin versus Obi-Wan was absolutely amazing. The transition between Padme's death and Vader's birth as well was absolutely amazing. Seeing Mace Windu and Darth Sidious as well was amazing. General Grievous, always amazing. And the whole opening sequence of Anakin and Obi-Wan rescuing Palpatine as well was absolutely amazing. I really, 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 really love this movie. And I am so happy more people really like this movie. I can't praise this movie enough. I could talk about this movie all fucking day. But Revenge of the Sith is going towards S tier. The very, very high S tier. So, that concludes the prequel trilogy. Episode 1 on B tier, Episode 2 on D tier, and Episode 3 on S tier. Now we go on to... Well, I guess if we're going chronological order, that means we are going to go to, I guess, Solo would be next in the chronological order. Now, I didn't like this movie. I didn't feel like a story about a young Han Solo was very necessary. I mean, there were a few things about this movie that I liked. Woody Harrelson was very funny. The train scene as well, the action was pretty cool. The fight between what's his fucking face, the villain, I forget his name. People can correct me in the comments. And Kira, I think, is Emilia Clarke's character in the movie. That was pretty sick. Darth Maul at the end was a pretty good twist with Crimson Dawn and the whole crime syndicate he did in the Clone Wars, but obviously if you don't watch the Clone Wars, you might be sitting there all confused as to what the fuck Darth Maul's doing there. Um, how Han Solo met Chewbacca, I thought was pretty sick. But yeah, no, this movie also was not really the best. The actor for Han Solo was not really the best, but Woody Harrelson was great as always. Woody Harrelson could be in the worst movies in the fucking world and still be able to give it his all and be funny. Um, yeah, no, I usually tend to avoid this movie as well when I try to do marathons, but it's not as bad as episode 2, not by any means. At least you could have a little bit of fun when you watch this movie. So, quite honestly, I'm going to put Solo on C tier, like very low C tier. I think if it wasn't for like the stuff that I mentioned, I probably would have put it on D, but no, I think Solo deserves a little bit more love than that. I'm going to put it on C tier. Then we go on to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And when I first watched this movie, when it first came out in theaters, I was not really a big fan. But my most recent viewing really opened my eyes with the whole Rebel alliance and coming together. The whole origin of the Death Star plans I thought was a very nice touch. This ragtag group of rebels being responsible for getting the Death Star plans, I thought was a very nice touch as well. You also had director Krennic, who obviously was jealous at the fact that Grand Moff Tarkin was taking credit for the Death Star in its entirety. Also, I really like the CGI work in this movie with Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher. Obviously, both were unfortunately passed away by the time this movie was made, so they did like computer modeling. I thought was pretty sick. Darth Vader's hallway scene as well. Jesus Christ. Back then, that was my only saving grace for this movie. But obviously, seeing how all of them died as well, that whole sequence, that battle as well on that planet was absolutely amazing. That death scene for Galen Erso as well was very sad, and the opening as well with Krennic confronting Galen about having to go back and do the Death Star plans and everything like that, I thought was a very nice touch. It was a very tragic story. Obviously, going back with my filmmaking glasses on, watching this movie, I had a lot more appreciation for this film, and for that, I'm going to put it, honestly, on A tier. I think Rogue One was easily the best content that Disney, since Star Wars acquisition in 2012, Rogue One was the best Disney Star Wars content ever made. Better than Mandalorian, better than Ahsoka, better than Kenobi, better than Andor. And I know a lot of people really like the Andor TV series. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to go on that, but Rogue One, it gets an A tier. Then we go on to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And, when you go back, it's kind of cheesy. I mean, it was made in 1977. What the hell else do you want? But obviously, this is a classic. A young farm boy from a desert planet meeting an old Jedi master and having to learn the ways of the Force after his aunt and uncle are brutally murdered by stormtroopers. This is also where we're introduced to Leia, Han, Chewie, and the gang. This movie had a lot of focus on C-3PO and R2-D2, which was very good to see. The Death Star trench run was also absolutely bliss. But honestly, yeah, this is not my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's definitely in my top 5. Yeah, this is a classic. You can't really slander the classics. I want to say the only flaws of this movie was kind of really how long the beginning was and everything like that, but obviously start to finish you can enjoy this movie, and also it being cheesy, but it's 1977. I'm going to give this movie also a slight B tier, because honestly, yeah, I won't always go back to watch this movie, but obviously if I'm doing a marathon, I'm gonna go and watch this movie easily. Then we go on to Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, a movie that a lot of people consider to be their favorite Star Wars movie, and I don't really blame them in the slightest. This movie was amazing from start to finish as well, with the Battle of Hoth, the Dagobah training with Yoda, the duel with Vader and Luke, and obviously having one of the greatest, maybe the greatest plot twist in movie history with Darth Vader revealing himself to be Luke's father. I can't really slander this movie a whole lot. This was easily a very, very entertaining movie. The only flaws you can really have is the beginning being a little bit too long and the Dagobah training being a little bit too long, and maybe criticizing the whole thing of Luke training under Yoda and then all of a sudden, oh no, my friends are in trouble, I gotta go. But other than that, this is a very good movie. I can't really be mad at this. This is definitely my top two. I am going to put The Empire Strikes Back beside Revenge of the Sith, honestly, on S tier. This was a very, very good movie. I really, really love this. And yeah, no, I don't have anything else really to say about it. Then we go on to Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Now, this was a very good movie as well. My only flaws with this movie is the Jabba's Palace sequence, it being a very, very long and everything like that. But I get it. You're going to want to save Han Solo. I really liked the ending as well with the battle between Vader and Luke. And then obviously Vader redeeming himself by throwing the Emperor down the shaft. I really like the Battle of Endor. I hated the fucking Ewoks, though. I think everyone can agree on that. The Ewoks are the worst part of these movies. I'm joking. Yeah, no, this was a very good movie as well. Definitely not, though, as good as Revenge of the Sith or Empire Strikes Back, but it is definitely up there. I loved the sail barge scene, which is the only good part of the Jabba's Palace sequence. And obviously the ending with the Endor celebration, seeing Force ghosts, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin. Whether or not you prefer the Sebastian Shaw ghost or the Hayden Christensen ghost is anyone's guess. Honestly, I don't care which one. I love that Anakin was there anyway. So I'm going to give Return of the Jedi, honestly, A tier. I think Return of the Jedi deserves to be up there, so why the hell not? So with that, that concludes the standalone films and the original trilogy. So far we got Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back on S tier. We got Rogue One and Return of the Jedi on A tier. We got The Phantom Menace and A New Hope on B tier. We got Solo on C tier, and we got Attack of the Clones on D tier. Now we go on to everyone's favorite trilogy, We got the sequel trilogy, starting off with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Man, I was there. This is obviously the first Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters, because obviously I wasn't really around much for all the rest of the movies. That was a very good experience, but obviously in terms of the movie itself, it was flawed. This seemed like a bit of a ripoff of A New Hope. It was almost like Disney had no idea what to do. I will commend The Force Awakens, though, for trying to build these characters up. Rey, Finn, Kylo, Poe. Poe was supposed to be this big deal. Finn was supposed to be this big deal. He was, like, you could see it even here on the poster. Finn was... I also have the Force Awakens poster right by me as well. Finn having the lightsaber. It was like Finn was supposed to be this big deal, but obviously that was a fake out because you're going to want Rey to be the big deal. This was easily the best Star Wars movie in terms of the sequel trilogy if you're ranking the 3 sequel movies. But like my favorite part was obviously Kylo killing Han Solo, which was a very sad scene. I had fun with this movie though. The Jakku escape, the opening with Kylo coming in, wrecking that village, I thought was pretty sick too. But obviously, not a whole lot of saving graces for this movie. Obviously, the plot being a big A New Hope ripoff. Luke escaping, like Luke disappearing for no reason until we found out in the next movie, which I'll get to. Oh my god, that's probably going to be the longest segment in this video. But for The Force Awakens, I am going to put it on C tier because easily the best out of the 3 movies, and it's definitely not as bad as the 2 that came after. Now let's go on to Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Holy shit. This movie sucked. This movie sucked. What can I really talk about The Last Jedi that people haven't already like squeezed out in their criticisms? The movie being one big space chase. Do 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 pew 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 pew. That's the movie. Pew pew. The whole Canto Bight, I think is the name of the Casino Planet subplot, was unnecessary. Rose Tico being the worst character, even worse than Jar Jar Binks, fucking hated her. Luke Skywalker as a character, ruined him. Luke Skywalker, like, oh, I came to this planet to die, because they were going to make Luke Skywalker a fucking murderer. My man Kylo, I guess Snoke already turned his heart, so Kylo's fucking sleeping in bed. Luke goes over to his hut, sees a vision of what might happen. Luke tries to kill him. Luke, in Return of the Jedi, the A-tier movie, goes over to Darth Vader, the second most evil guy in the galaxy, who murdered children, who blew up planets, murdered countless Jedi, choked his wife, killed his brother and best friend. Luke Skywalker went over to that guy and was like, you are good. You are good. But his nephew sees a vision, meets a guy, and tries to kill him. Speaking of the guy that Kylo met, Snoke, they built up Snoke, and he died in the most bitch move possible, with Kylo turning the lightsaber around and slicing him in half. So because of the bitch way he died, obviously in The Rise of Skywalker, they are like, oh, Snoke's a clone. Like, what the fuck is that? Obviously, the whole scene with Leia as well, getting blown up, sucked into space, and then she fucking Mary Poppins her way back into the ship. Obviously, everyone, including me, had a problem with Rey in this movie as well, being a Mary Sue, beating Luke Skywalker in combat, like basically being better at the Force than basically anybody. Like, even Anakin at that point, the supposed chosen one. Yeah, this movie sucked. Obviously, the way Luke died as well in this movie absolutely sucked. Oh, like, there is no saving graces for this movie. Like, with Attack of the Clones, I also very tend to avoid The Last Jedi when I watch it. This will go right beside Attack of the Clones on D tier. Easily. I think all the tiers now have 2 movies as well. Yeah. All the tiers have at least 2 movies on there, but we're going to have the tiebreaker, aren't we? As we go on to the last Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, sorry, should I say The Rise of Palpatine? Obviously, you know, this movie was basically trying to undo everything in The Last Jedi, because J.J. Abrams saw all the criticisms of The Last Jedi, because obviously The Last Jedi wasn't done by J.J. Abrams, it was done by Rian Johnson. J.J. came back to produce The Rise of Skywalker, and they were trying to undo everything. Obviously, with Snoke being a clone. Oh, Rey's parents selling her off for drinking money? Well, no, she is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, and her parents chose to be nobody to keep her safe. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, the whole plot as well. We need to find a MacGuffin that will lead to another MacGuffin that will lead to a dagger that would lead to a code that we would have to break C-3PO for to get the memory. That will lead to the wreckage of the second Death Star that was blown to smithereens. That will lead to another MacGuffin that will get destroyed. That will lead to going on Kylo's ship, getting the McMuffin. Then Rey goes over, gets the McMuffin. No, turns out that the guy that they found on that one ship, a droid, a little roly-poly-oly, has the fucking memory, goes and sends it to the rest of the Resistance, and then everyone's fucking there. Obviously, the whole point of Emperor Palpatine coming back made Darth Vader look like a bitch, because, oh, the prophecy? Nah, it doesn't make sense. You know that scene in Revenge of the Sith where Yoda's like, a prophecy? Misread could have been. Yeah, no, the JJ saw that and was like, Rey. Obviously, Rey is top tier Mary Sue in this movie. The lightsaber battles in this movie also kind of sucked. They try to introduce these new characters as well at the very end, which is like, this is the last Star Wars movie. Why would you need to do that? Bringing Lando back, getting basically 0 screen time besides the one part where he tries to help the Resistance, and then the end battle where he's on screen only a little bit. Yeah, no, this movie had a ton of problems. they they had Han Solo come back as a vision, which in that scene honestly should have been Ghost Anakin Skywalker, something they easily could have done because Hayden Christensen's voice was in that movie trying to talk to Rey to beat Palpatine. Uh, then they really ripped off Darth Vader's redemption arc with Kylo. Like Kylo just turning good was just one of the most sudden shifts of character. Hux looked like a bitch in that movie. Yeah, no, I really do not like this movie. Also, they set up something with Finn where it was like, Rey, I never told you, Rey. And then it's like, well, we don't find out what he was going to tell Rey. And even then, the kiss with Rey and Kylo, the Reylo stands were happy with that, but no, man, no. Rise of Skywalker also has zero redeeming qualities, and I think this should be a message to Disney that maybe you shouldn't make new movies anymore. But what do I know? They're doing a new movie with Rey, trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. I think it's going to come out 2027, I think they said. Man, I can't wait to review that movie and tear it to shreds. But Rise of Skywalker will also go on D tier. So, to recap, Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back getting their most deserved places on S tier, Rogue One and Return of the Jedi being on A tier, The Phantom Menace and A New Hope on B tier, C tier has Solo and The Force Awakens, and then D tier has Attack of the Clones, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Ladies and gentlemen, now I have to conclude my tier ranking for all the Star Wars movies, all the theatrically released Star Wars movies. Obviously, I wasn't going to rank the Clone Wars movie. I forgot all about that movie anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, that was my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Leave your own rankings down in the comments down below as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to turn post notifications on so that way you never miss an upload. Leave suggestions for future videos down in the comments down below. I'll probably do a Fortnite video either tomorrow or the next day. Be sure to subscribe to my wrestling channel as well, Will's Wrestling Corner. And all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your boy Will from Will's Everything Corner. I will see you in the next video. Be good people and peace. Later.